This is big breaking news. The USDA has just warned that a new disease and a new outbreak is affecting our agriculture in the United States. This is causing ports to be shut down along the southern border, and this is affecting the prices of food right now as well too. So let's get into all the details here. You guys can see this was just posted by the USDA on November 6th. It says here, New World Screwworm. Right, they are now issuing a new alert for this, warning that it is spreading even more and becoming even more of a concern for the United States, and the threat has increased over the last few months. Right, this has caused ports inside the United States along the southern border to be shut down, and this is preventing beef from being imported in the United States. You can see here, this is an article. It says New Mexico port shutdown due to New World Screwworm ripples across the state and both sides of the border. So this is happening in multiple states along the border at multiple different ports of entry. They are no longer allowing beef from Mexico, all right, and cattle, specifically live cattle imports. They are not allowing it. We'll get into more details of that just a second, but you can see here it says a New World Screwworm is a devastating pest. When the fly larvae maggots burrow into flesh of a living animal, they can cause serious, often deadly damage. It can infest livestock, pets, wildlife, occasionally birds, and in rare cases people. It says that the New World Screwworm is endemic in Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and countries in South America. For decades, the U.S. and Panama have collaborated through the Commission of the Eradication of Prevention of Screwworm to prevent the pest's northward movement using a biological control technique involving sterilized insects. This partnership eradicated it from the United States in 1966 and successfully eliminated a small outbreak in the Florida Keys in 2017. It says the USDA is implementing a sweeping 5-pronged plan to protect the nation's livestock, wildlife, and public health from the growing threat of the New World Screwworm. This includes proactively monitoring nearly 8,000 traps across Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. To date, no flies have been detected inside the United States. They're saying it's crucial to protect our livestock industry and economy and food supply chain. All right, so this has been spreading. Like they said, it used to previously be contained at Panama at the Darien Gap, okay, because it's a very narrow path of land, okay? So it was easy to kind of put a lid on it for these flies to not travel past here. And what they're talking about is releasing of radiated flies that are sterile. Okay, so they literally radiate them, male flies, screwworm flies, and then they go out and they're sterile. So it dramatically reduces the population. I mean, then we have radioactive flies kind of flying around. It's kind of weird, but I guess it does work. And it hasn't worked though. Okay, the past couple years it's been pushing northward, and now there's cases in northern Mexico, and that's why these restrictions have been put in place. You can see ports are shutting down along the border. It says Mexican ranchers' current inability to ship roughly 1,500 cattle per day in the United States through New Mexico port of entry continues to have wide-reaching consequences, including layoffs and price hikes, the leader of a binational cooperative of livestock producers said Tuesday. Daniel Manzanares, who was in charge of the Santa Teresa, New Mexico border crossing on behalf of the cooperative, told a legislative committee Tuesday the shutdown impacts both sides of the border, forcing Mexican ranchers with small operations to sell their cattle at a loss, while the price of beef in the United States reaches new heights. right? So I like having domestic beef. I like our stuff being grown in the US and produced in the US and buying, especially food. I like it from the US. But this is also something that's been going on for a long time, and a lot of ranchers in the US actually depend on this supply chain of live cattle from Mexico, and this has been causing issues inside the United States and has been causing prices to increase. I don't know about you guys, but every time I'm looking at steak prices and stuff at the store, it's insane. It's insane. And it seems like it's happened relatively recently, right? It seemed like steak was not this expensive just a few years ago, and now it's insane. Very expensive, and this is definitely part of it, right? But then at the same time, if you let these live cattle in that are potentially, because the flies they lay, so if the cow or any type of animal has a wound on it, and this can even happen to humans, dogs, pets, any animal essentially, this can happen to, especially mammals. If they have a wound, an open wound, the fly can lay eggs inside the wound, and then the eggs hatch, and they start feeding on the flesh of the wound. Okay, so they literally eat the wound. It's literally disgusting to really think about it, but that's what happens, and it's terrible. All right, there is treatment for it, but the animals can be overwhelmed and they can die. I think the fatality rates are around like 10 or 20%, something along those lines. So they can pass away from it, and it's extremely painful for them as well too. And it can happen to your pets, and it can even happen to people, right? So these things are nasty. And if we do allow the ports to remain open and trade and live cattle especially to be moved into the United States, it's definitely going to increase that risk of the screwworm spreading inside the United States. All right, so it's one of these things. Beef prices are going to increase kind of either way. Okay, they're going to increase if the screwworm spreads in the United States, or they're going to increase because we have to kind of isolate ourselves from these other countries in case their cattle is carrying screwworm. So it's not a risk for any type of processed beef. So that'll probably be, the workaround. But at the same time, there are ranchers, especially in these border states, that are depending on these cattle, right, to have on their ranch. So let me know what you guys think down below. All right, ports shut down. Here's an article too on that sterile fly thing. All right, they're starting it up in Mexico right now. The USDA is funding and working in coordination with the Mexican government to create this fly facility, and they're going to be releasing a bunch of them along the US southern border. All right, so this stuff's getting close. This stuff's nasty. We really don't want it in our country, but at the same time, they've been able to eradicate it. So they have these programs. So let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.